Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So I've had quite a few people on lately regarding the main stopcock being stiff, it's letting by a bit too much, and most of all not working at all. Probably the handle's missing or whatever, but completely useless, and finally they really are stuck with what to do. How can I get around this problem? Well, there are a few options. I'm going to show you the kind of hopefully easier options that you can have out there. I'll go onto the computer and show you what bits and pieces are available. Then after that I'm going to go to my outside washdown tap and kind of convert it into a main stopcock coming into your kitchen, as it were. To do it outside means I haven't got to worry about clearing up any water mess afterwards, and show you kind of the quick change method. I kind of just want to show you the pressure that's involved and the only way that it can be done. Bearing in mind I'm just going to do this outside from a tap. Inside in a cupboard it's going to be a whole lot trickier, but it will just give you an example of what's involved. But first of all, let's go to what's available out there to make life a bit easier. We'll go to the computer now. First up then is this Aladdin Easy Fit isolator. You get the tools to actually fit it. It's not quite as easy as it looks. I'm not going to bother videoing this and fitting one because there's lots of videos up there. All my plumbing rivals and colleagues out there have all done a fit of this valve. Okay, so if you want to know how to do it, have a look there. It's just probably the only problem with it is it's a self cutter. You've got to have copper pipe, and you've got to have a piece of copper pipe available to screw it onto, whether you're going under the stopcock or above it. And remember, you've got a lever, but although I know you can take that on and off if you want to give you a bit more room. But I guess the main problem is if you've got copper pipe that you can actually get cutting into to get that valve on when it's in tight spaces. So that's first up then. That's our most recommended, I would say. As you saw, that was £45 for that tap. It's very expensive, isn't it? So this is the cheap way. A self-cutting isolating valve. Obviously it will bring you out in sideways position to the pipe, so once you've cut this on, obviously you've got to get the pipe to fit from there, which will be this angle coming out and up and get back to your pipe. So you've got to have a bit of leeway in the cupboard to fit one of them, and as it's an isolating valve and they're very unreliable, I would, once fitted, turn it, once it's connected to your main pipe in the cupboard back to your main, turn it on, leave it on, but fit a proper full wave valve, one of these things that screw right down, you know the type I mean, a full bore valve above it. So it's going to look a bit messy in the cupboard. You know, it's not great, is it, when you've got one valve then you've got another one. But I wouldn't leave that as the main valve in your property. They are very unreliable in the long term. Okay, plus you've got to get a screwdriver to turn it off in the first instance. So, but that's a very cheap option. We're looking at a £5, so you know, but again, I wouldn't actually recommend that one unless you are in dire straits. Okay, let's move on. Next up then is the pipe freezer kit. These are all good and well, work well, it's been around a long time, and as long as you've got room to strap it to the pipe, it's a good option. If you want a more professional job though, then obviously the next thing is the Rothenberger kit. It's obviously expensive to buy, but you could hire it from a tool hire shop. Last one to make life a bit easier, if you want to chance it, is this water pipe squeeze off tool. Sounds good, doesn't it? Basically, if you've got a poly main coming in to your property and then you've got the stopcock on the end of there, the idea of this is that you can actually squeeze the poly pipe flat and shut the water off, basically. So it's a case of, do you want a chance squeezing your poly main shut? It should be alright, but obviously if it's old it may just leak. It's one of those, it should be alright, but I wouldn't like to chance it. If you've got the old black main coming in, I probably definitely wouldn't chance it, because that old black main is probably more than 20 years old by now. But if you've got poly, you can chance squeezing it off with one of those. Anyway, they're the kind of options we've got out there with tools and stuff and fittings that you can use. But the only other way, obviously, is some people want to put a new tap right back on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mimic up outside from the outside tap the procedure for changing a stopcock live, and I'm doing it out there simply because it's more room to show you and you'll see quite what I mean by high pressure. So let's get to that now, shall we? So here we are, stopcock and this is the arrangement you're going to need with your new stopcock before it goes on, with the arrow facing that way and a hose pipe tightly secured to a bit of pipe, done up tightly. This pipe's going to lead away to a drain somewhere, so it takes the water away to where you're working. Now I've rigged this up, and this is like outside obviously, so I've got not to worry about too much water. But if you're going to be doing this inside, you will need a wet and dry vac. You're going to need a lot of water coming down. You must have a hard tiled floor, clear everything from the floor, because there will be water. Okay, so it's not a dry job, so it's one of those things. Make sure that's done as well. You're ready for it, plenty of towels and stuff. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to cut this through here. It's an old stopcock, really old, as you can see. Now that nut won't fit this nut here, so there's no good undoing that and trying to get that on. That nut won't start. It's very awkward to think that you kind of think it's easy to connect that straight on to the nut, but often they never fit. Don't bother trying it. So what we're going to do is cut through here. A couple of other things we can do first. Okay, now this is a straight ball fixed valve. These are much better to fit than this stopcock. Okay, but I'm fitting a stopcock just to show you renewing the stopcock, which is a lot harder. When the water goes through this, it has to go up and round and back around, so it's harder to fit on. But with this, if you can see, it goes straight through and it holds no resistance. So if you have your hose pipe on that, it's a much better job. And afterwards, this always works, whereas this will still seize up again in a few years' time. Other than that, the other thing you can do is you can put a bit of copper in the end of this and do it up and push one of these on, and then when we cut through we could just push the whole thing on like that as a push fit. That again is an easy, but you will end up then with another joint. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do up the nut on the pipe. But because I'm doing that, I've got a little bit of my old friend the Boss White, because what I'm going to do is put a little bit of paste into there. Now the olive has got to be done up loose but square to the pipe, so I can just literally jab it straight on. And what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of, so I know this is potable one, so it's okay for water, just smear a little bit of it around the olive, because I want it to slide on when that rain's pressure is coming up out of there, because it will be forceful. Okay, and you get ready with your spanner then. So they're the things you can do, and there is actually a push on stopcock as well that pushes straight on if you'd rather use a hep fit one. But this is basically about renewing what you got with a stopcock. So we're all going to be ready now. First things you do before you do anything, open a cold tap, full blast, and any other cold taps you've got indoors to help take the water pressure away before we go slicing this through, because in a minute I'm going to slice it through with this pipe cutter. Make sure the copper tube is clean. If there's any paint on it, clean it all off. Like this is all cleaned off, there's no paint on there, and it will cut easily, because you've got to get that stopcock on straight on without any paint or anything in the way. So without further ado, time to go for it. Wet job coming up.
So can I get this right? You've got all your weight gear on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got all your boots and you're all down there, and it doesn't matter if it's wet. Are you actually, is that live then?
It's live, yeah.
It's live. Yeah. So have we turned the cold tap on?
We're going to do that in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, but this is what you've got to have ready.
Okay. Oh my God, I hope I'm far enough back.
But before we do anything, obviously now the main tap on the kitchen, and if your main's on the bath as well or basin, turn them all on before we do the chop.
I'd stand back, Seagull. I think we might be getting wet in a minute.
Could be. Right, here we go then. Stopcock on. Make sure the stopcock's open. Good idea, otherwise the water won't go around. You always forget something, it doesn't matter what. Take it off again, show you the pressure. There we go. Stopcock on. The water's going up the hose and round over there somewhere, or under that bench there. There we go. Under our decking. Now once you put it on there, you just got to tighten it up. So, hair grip. Leave the thing on, leave it running, and it's on. Now we can turn it off. that stopcock's fitted. But this is easy because outside it's not too bad. You saw how much water there was. If you're under a sink it's a lot harder, isn't it? But there we are, stopcock on. Take this off. We can then fit our pipe work up to the kitchen sink. Now don't forget, you'll have this pipe going up to the connection under the sink. You must be able to pull this pipe out of the way when you do the stopcock change. So it must have a bit of movement in this pipe, otherwise you won't be able to pull it out of the way enough to get it in. So it's just one other thing that is a bit of a hassle with this job. But that is it though. I'll take that off later on, doesn't matter. Put a hose pipe on it, so it's a little bit tight. But there we are. You can see the water's off there. And the thing's fitted. If I turn it on, there we are. New stopcock on. And not even too wet. Look at that. Moderately dry.
I'm impressed.
Not bad. Okay, that's about it though. If you want to do a live stopcock change, that's the things that are involved. Anyway, it's a grim day. Good day to do it really. So anyway, all my stuff, you have to go. Darren 33. Thanks for watching guys. Bye bye.